What's up there, everybody? It's Odin here, and the finale of the weekend. The weekend was good, and life is good, and I hope it's good for you as well. Um, yeah, so we'll be talking about a few things. Um, Not much, really. I still wonder why people watch these, but I do appreciate it. I appreciate people who are curious about what's going on in my life. But it is just a little journal. It's just me talking shit. And but for that, I appreciate it. But like I said, life is good. The weekend was good. Um, the weekend's been very lazy, but it's been good. Kind of went hard Friday night, so oftentimes that means the rest of the weekend will be nice and slow, and maybe you wish you would have done more, but I still got a lot of shit done, so we're feeling good. And well, we got another page of Killed Him Dead here, which you cannot hardly see at all, but believe me, it's another page. It's got some rough pencils on it that will look very awesome once I fully flesh them out. But for now, they're rough and light. So, excuse me. Let's see what can we even talk about. I don't even know what to talk about. I know that lately I've been watching the Twin Peaks, and that has been really, really freaking awesome. I alluded to it on my last video, or talked a little bit about it, and I was watching the old series because I remember when it came out when I was a kid. It was like, for one, I wouldn't have got it even as a kid. I was pretty young. And two, I don't. None of my parents watched it, so it wasn't really exposed. But I remember catching bits and pieces, and I remember a lot of people talking about the series. Now, one thing that was interesting that I didn't pick up on for a while, even after watching it, was that the setting of Twin Peaks was in Washington State, where I just moved from, and it was set probably, set close to the Canadian border, so probably not that far from when I had the property north of Spokane where we were, because it kind of like I talked about Spokane a few times, and it's just in that area. So I'm like, that's pretty interesting to me as well. But the show was so great, and then I got through the first two seasons of the original series, which ended very awesomely but crazily, and I was able to go directly from that to the series that came out in 2017, and really picks up right at that same place basically, and you just take it on the next segment of the ride. But I also have to think about the fact that most people who are fans of the show watched it in 90 and 91, 92, whenever that was, somewhere between 1990 and 92. And they waited till 2017, which is 25 years later, before they got that extra a little bit of closure. And it wasn't really even closure. It was interesting, because we'll talk about the ending. But I had to think about that a little bit, because I basically went from one to the next, which was awesome. But most people waited 25 years for that new series, and they did it in such a cool way where their age actually made sense and all that kind of stuff, because it brought back most of the original cast, and really, really cool. And the new one, like the floodgates were open for David Lynch to do what he normally does with like his movies, and be very surreal and abstract and avant-garde with his directing and storytelling. The sounds were very industrial, and especially like the first 4 or 5 episodes is just like, oh man, this is gonna be a slow burn. Like, this is not for everybody, because, and once it got going after that, then there was a lot of like, okay, now we got some momentum, but he did it on purpose. You could tell from filmmakers perspective. There was reasons why he was doing all that, etc. But I could tell he likes like, because there was a lot of like, I think the word is vignette. I can't remember. I don't know if that's the right word, but where David Lynch does this in a lot of his movies, where like everything kind of stops and he highlights like a musical performance in the middle of things, and almost like the spotlight goes on that musical performance. Now it's very attached to the story, but it's also like somewhat abstract. You're like, oh, now we're watching a performance, you know. This series, most of the episodes ended at the bar with like a band playing, and there might be something going on in the audience, but oftentimes it was just the band playing, and then the credits would roll, and it was pretty good, and the music was always really good. You know, you could kind of pick up on what styles of music David Lynch likes, because I think, if I remember right, he did some kind of industrial project musically. But you can tell because a lot of the soundscape is industrial. The soundtrack has that, and people who don't understand industrial music, why these disharmonious and discordant and dissonant sounds, all the dis things, but why that works sometimes, because most people just like kind of pop melodies. But if you actually like the depth of emotion that you can get through music, you might actually appreciate industrial for what it does. But it is very dissonant. It's hard to listen to, especially if you're not trained in it or if you don't have any interest in that. You're like, I just want pop music. I don't want anything weird. But because of that, like, if you like industrial music, it definitely makes it easier to watch when you're watching that Twin Peaks, the new series. But if you don't like it, it's probably really hard because it's grating on and it's supposed to be like a lot of it's taking place like in between dimensions and realities, and it's like this in between plane, and in there everything is abstract and off and different from the world we know. So he would use like backmasking on the vocals or on the voices, so when people talked, it'd have that weird sound. And then they would do like reverse filming for like move, and it'd give people like a weird jerky kind of move. So everything felt off, and that was the whole point. But again, if you're not used to that stuff, it can be almost too off-putting. And like I said, the first 4 episodes or so is just a lot of that, and like slow dragging you through it. But man, what a series. I really enjoyed it. All of it. The original, which was like on ABC, or I think it was on ABC or Fox, but like he had to play ball, so it didn't have as much Lynch stuff as like the new series. I don't know which one, if that was like Showtime or something, but he didn't have to cater to network television as much, and you could tell there was a little more cursing and things like that. So it was like, not that there was like a lot of cursing, but but his surreal, abstract kind of stuff he likes to do, he really went hard, as opposed to like before, he'd just pull it back a little bit. And even then, I remember people talking about Twin Peaks back in the day and just being like, it's weird, It's like, well, yeah, it's fucking cool, So anyway, I finally got around to it, watched both series right in a row. I guess there's also a movie that goes in between the 2 series, which I should have watched in between, but I didn't. Whatever. I think the movie's called Fire Walk with Me, but maybe someday I'll watch that. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm just very impressed with how they handled it. So that's how I've been spending my time. I've been watching that and drawing, and working and all the stuff I'm doing. But outside of that, like comic book wise, I just keep working on stuff. I don't know, I don't know a whole lot. I don't always know what's going on. So, and because I don't always know what's going on, I just work on shit. I'm like, well, I got shit to work on. I know that. So I just draw and try to create stuff. And then outside of that, I don't really fucking know. It's almost like I'll jump onto like Twitter or social media of some kind, and I just well, I don't know. It's heavy, and I don't know. It just seems like somewhere I don't want to spend a whole lot of time anymore. And most of the stuff I see is pretty cool, but I feel that social media and Twitter and all these things they're just there to agitate. And some people are really easy to agitate. And the only thing that agitates me is other people's agitation. It's still like whatever their issue is, that usually doesn't bother me. It usually bothers me that they have such an issue with it. I'm like, dude, live and let live. If you don't like it, just fucking quit paying attention. But I found that like that's the whole thing. Like we never had terms like hate watching, you know, until recently. And that became a thing. They're like, why are you watching that movie? Because I hate it. Because I want to talk shit about it. I want to pick it apart, how much I hate it. And that's what's being kind of pumped and fueled into the verse into the verse of social media is like find those things you don't like and pay attention to them a lot. And every time they do something, talk shit about it. And people live their lives that way. It's fucking insane. And, you know, I don't know people personally a lot of times. You know, I know them through the Twitterverse or through YouTube streaming and stuff. So I don't always know what their day-to-day lives are. But it seems to me they have a lot of time to hate watch. Hate watch whatever other people are doing. But even just in general, I'm like, I don't know how people have so much time to be on social media. It's never made sense to me. I'm like, when I do spend more time on there, I feel it. Like my other shit falls flat. It's not as vibrant. I'm not getting as much shit done. So oftentimes though, I'll jump onto Twitter or something and I'll scroll a bit and I'm like, and people have a lot of time to do this shit. I don't. And if they do, they do. You know, it's no big deal. It's not my life. Nobody else's life is my life. And I'm certainly not hate watching. Like I said, the only thing that aggravates me, it seems, is when people are super agitated by all the other people in the world. And, you know, it happens with political cycles. Like this is that time. But like I see it, like in the independent comic world, you know, there's a lot of discord and, you know, the drama and whatever. And I'm just like, you really have time to like pay attention to all these other people that you supposedly dislike. Like if I dislike somebody, the last thing I'm going to do is like pay attention to them. You know, I'm going to quit paying attention to them. I guess that's the difference between them and me. But yeah, so it's just weird, you know. And I have to just kind of put it away. I go, that's weird. I don't know. I don't understand it. You know, and then there's like a whole world, like, you know, when I make a video like this is like a little pocket in time where I stop and talk into a camera and like say hi to everybody. Or, you know, if I'd been back when I was going on streams, you know, that was the same thing. Like you see that little bit of me, but like the majority of my life is spent in the minutia of like my job and kids and, you know, preparing meals and doing laundry and, you know, just doing normal shit. Like most people. But when I'm doing all that stuff, I don't know. My phone's usually like set aside. I'm not usually on it. So the only time I really do is when I'm just kind of like settled with other stuff and I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on. But I mean, more and more, I just don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. Every time I look, I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I paying attention to this? But in the end, I just find people baffling, and so I never know what the hell's going on. I make friends, but I don't know. People probably think I keep them at arm's length for whatever reason. Maybe I do. And if I do, it's just because I don't know. I don't trust people anymore. There's been too many people who say things and don't follow through with them, and it drives me absolutely insane. Because I'll never forget when I was young adult, like 18, like first moved out. And my mom lived by herself, and I was the youngest kid, right? And I moved out. So she had nobody at home. But she had a lot of needs, like as far as like work around at her house and, whatever needed done on her cars, things like that. Or she would move or something, she always needed help. And I remember one time I said I was going to help her, and I didn't for whatever reason. I didn't get around to it, and I got busy with something else, and I didn't feel too terrible about it at the moment. I don't know why. Like look back at my personality now, and I was like, how did you not? But she kind of like had a talking to with me about it. She's like, you keep saying you're going to help, and then you're always too busy, or you have something else going on or whatever. And I was like, really? I do that? And she's like, yeah, you kind of do it a lot. And I was like, oh, shit. I don't mean to. It was all good intentions, but the old saying, the road to hell and paved with good intentions, right? Like I wanted to help her, but I was just finding other shit to do, and it just seemed like it was totally baffling to me. I'm like, I've done it a lot. And she's like, yeah, you keep saying you're going to help, and then you don't. And I'm like, But I remember how much that impacted me. I was like, I hate that. Like, it bothered me for a long time. I'm like, I do that? I've done that? I hate that about myself. And it got to the point, I try to do everything I can. Like, if I say I'm going to do something, I do everything I can. I used to say, like, which, I don't want to put myself in a hole by saying it, but I used to say the only thing short of me doing what I say I'm going to do is me being dead. If I say I'm going to do it, I do it, and for the most part, that's true. Like, and oftentimes it gets me to where I don't commit to things. People are like, can you just say you're going to do this? I'm like, once I say it, that means I absolutely have to do it. So I'm not ready to say it just yet, because it's true. Like, once I say it, that's written in blood. That's unbreakable. That's going to happen as much as I can possibly make it happen. So, the problem is sometimes, when you do that and you live that way, like, you can do that. But when you have like group decisions to make and you have to rely on somebody else and they're making claims and statements that you're not making, but you're part of a team, you're like, fuck, you're committing me to something that I didn't say. And then you're like, fuck, but like, we're a team, like, we got to do this together. And that's always been my biggest issue, I guess, and probably one of the issues why I'm such a loner by nature, is because once you put me with a team, then other people, I'm responsible for their decision making, and their word becomes my word. And I don't like that, because I'll commit to what I'm capable and able and willing to do. If somebody else throws my name out there to commit to do something, it drives me absolutely fucking insane. So I try not to put myself in that situation, but I've been there several times, and I hate it every time. That's why, like, at my job, the nature of the job I have, like, it's me. Like, at my work, I am the packaging designer. I work with other people, But what I do is on me, not my team, not somebody else, not a manager who's like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. I'm like, what? Well, now it's got to happen, and I don't know if it's going to. Like, you didn't consult me before you made that fucking promise. Or I'll voice my reservations, and they won't be heard. I think people often think I'm pessimistic, but it isn't pessimism. I'm just saying, like, if I say something, then I'm committed. I have to fucking do it. And, we're a team. You commit me, I have to fucking do it. And if I'm not able, capable, willing, then I'm relying on somebody else, But my name's still attached, and I don't like that. So as much as possible, I try to be solo on things for that reason. Nobody to account to but myself, because I can look in the mirror and be like, you failed here. I can handle that. I can figure that out. I can stop failing there. But I can't, as a group, look in a mirror and be like, all of us look in this mirror. Are we, saying and doing what we say, what we commit to? So to that end, for the most part, I'm trying to do everything solo in my life, as much as possible. Now, that's not a feasible way to live, but as much as possible, and what's within my control. So, again, control. I'm a control freak, but it comes back to that committing to something, my word, and what that means to me, and I would hate for my name to be sullied or looked down upon because of the bad choices of other people. I don't want to be there. And it's just going to make me trust people a whole lot less to have to be there. So anyway, to that point, all I know is I just keep drawing and making stuff. And because that's what I know I can do. Yeah. I tried to make this video earlier, and then I got stymied with my own thought process. And I started, which I almost did just now, and I was like circling and circling. I'm like, you keep saying the same thing. You keep saying the same thing. Like, how do you break this cycle of just circling around a subject, saying the same thing? Well, this time I'm going to break that circling of subjects by wrapping up this video. Real quick, though, I can pull this up. That sounded bad. No, it's not what you think. So since you can't see anything that's on this page, we'll show the last one I did. I did share this on social media and stuff, but this was the last one. So this one, when it's all fleshed out, it's going to look cool. Trust me. It always does, right? But this is the last one I fully fleshed out, which I really liked. A lot of fun. It took a hefty amount of time to flesh this one out because of the detail, but yeah, more Kill Them Dead artwork, and I don't know how long it's going to take to finish this, but it's taking a time. But when it's all said and done, it's going to be one of the coolest things. It's going to be really fucking awesome. The music, the artwork, the story, the presentation of the book and the albums, it's gonna be really, really cool. So that I'm very excited about. In the meantime, there you go. There's a little another sneak peek. I've been showing every page I've worked on, so it's not really a sneak peek. But these are just pencils. This is part of the process. Skunk Artworks putting his part on it, and it's gonna be great. Speaking of Skunk Artworks, everybody sign up for the Splash. It's launching very soon. The Splash is going to be so fucking awesome. And you've heard me talk about it. I'm preaching to the choir here. I hope you've all signed up already. But it's on Indiegogo. The Splash. Do the sign up now. So the book's going to be launching soon. That'll help with the launch. And then definitely get the book. Get it for your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews. Your D-nieces and nephews. I met a girl named Denise once, and this old mountain hermit friend I had, he was a pun master. He was a punisher. And I was like, oh, this is my friend Denise. I can't remember the joke, but he said something about like, oh, is her brother to nephew or something like that. I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. Anyway, get it for your nieces and nephews. Get it for your single adult friends because the artwork is so fantastic. You're going to want to get this. Skunk Artworks art is relatively subjective, but there are some things that are not subjective when it comes to artistic talent. And Skunk Artworks is that kind of talent where there's no subjectivity to it. Anybody can look at it and be like, that person has talent. They are good at what they do. And this artwork is beautiful. It can speak to any audience. And that's the thing. It is a children's book, but the artwork itself and the story itself can speak to any audience. So be on the lookout for that. Pick that up for everyone, including yourself. And so definitely had to get that plug in there. But Skunk Artworks is also doing all the coloring on Kill Them Dead. So all these pages that I've been doing in pencil, he will be adding his stamp, which is a pretty big one, which is hand painting these to be able to be printed in blacklight ink. So that's the plan. So yeah. Sign up for that. Sign up for Kill Them Dead, which we're working on, which is on Kickstarter, the other most known crowdfunding platforms, but the most known is Kickstarter, I would say. But yeah, sign up for this on Kickstarter. Hopefully we can get some more movement on it. I've been slow. I understand that, but I definitely don't want to rush this book. So anyway, that's what we got going on. I'm going to wrap up the video. Thank you for watching. Wherever you're at in life, whatever you're doing, stay pure awesome. Do everything with confidence, power, and courage and strength. And, commit yourself to the care and love of the ones around you that you do care and love for. And act with integrity as much as possible. It's your best bet in staying above board and being on top of things in this world. And regardless of what measure of success somebody can put on you in your life, if you die and everyone said that man or woman walked and lived with integrity, that is a measure of success everyone should strive for. And one that, regardless of money or fame or anything else, is attainable for everyone. But you have to commit to it. So I hope you will do that wherever you're at in life. Just be pure awesome. Walk with integrity. And until next time, Odin here. Stay awesome, kick some ass, and we'll see you.